Hello, Prem Dhage. Welcome to the channel Kahani's Golden Bites. Thank you for taking out your time to be on the channel, Prem.
Sure. Thank you so much, Joby, for inviting me.
Lovely, Prem. Once again, thank you. Prem, for the benefit of our viewers, may I please request you to give a little background about yourself, Prem?
Sure. So my name is Prem Dhage. I'm currently working with the National Stock Exchange of India, NSE, in Mumbai. I was born and brought up in Mumbai, always been in Mumbai boy. Started out my career with a small company, Jai Infotech, where we were writing code for travel agencies. So, starting out with software, then moved to ITES, during the 2000 boom, worked with a company called Transworks. And eventually, in 2003, joined a company called Exalt, which later on got taken over by Hewitt. Essentially, I have worked most of my life in HR shared services, HR technology, HR operations, that kind of profile. And of course, worked in a lot of different types of companies, different types of models, platforms, that kind of thing.
Lovely. That's really interesting, Prem. So, Prem, you've worked with some of the biggest brands, the biggest companies in the world, and the biggest names in the country, and now with the NSE.
Right. Okay.
So NSE, with everybody running to the stock market, the NSE, everybody knows about NSE, at this point in time, but otherwise you work with the Bidlas and Hewitt and Aon, etc.
Right.
So, the biggest. And Prem, if I may just take you back in time a little bit, Prem.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to go, take you back into the world of academics and your education part of it. When we are small, we don't have a choice. We're taken to a school and, we start our education. Our parents, have, taken us there, and we finish that part of the, that phase.
Right.
Later on, Prem, you went on to study further. You've done more qualifications after graduation. Now, graduation here in India is very, it's not something that is an advantage, but it's more like it's not a disadvantage. It's a disadvantage if you don't have it, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Prem, you've gone on to, beyond graduation. What did you do after graduation, Prem?
So I passed out in the year 2000. I have done a BCom from one of the reputed colleges here in Mumbai. And I mean, my education is actually a story in itself, so like you say, kahanis. So after graduation, I wanted to do an MBA, because I felt that that is where I would get a job that is like, which will really push me into the professional world and also from a financial perspective. Maybe just to give a little more background about myself, Joby, growing up, we had a lot of financial issues. My father had a business which was not doing well. We faced some losses because of which he had to sell our house and we had to shift from kind of nearer to the town in Mumbai to one of the distant suburbs. So those kind of things happened. And all of these things were happening while I was in my teenage or early youth time period, and that is the reason why for me making money was very important. So even when I completed my graduation, my first thing was that I have to start making money, and either get into a job and start doing well, or earn a qualification that will really put me into, like, start making good money at the beginning itself. So from that perspective, really, I was thinking that, I could do an MBA. I was not a very like first ranker student or anything, but I was not bad. I was a little bit above the average line. So I used to be maybe fifth or sixth in the class throughout. So another thing about me is that my parents come from modest background, so they are not very educated. But my father is a very smart person. He's a very good businessman. He's very good at maths. So he encouraged us, to pursue education, and he said, education is the most important thing. he was like the first person in our family, and I was the first person in our family to go to an English school. So even if it was probably beyond his means from a financial perspective, he made sure that all three of us, me and my siblings, attended good schools, got good education, right? So that was the story. But towards our teens, I realized that we did not have enough money for paying for an MBA school, that kind of thing. The other thing that happened, and an extension to that is during my graduation as well. Uh, all of my class, like everybody used to attend classes, but the classes was like 20,000 or something at that point of time, and we could not afford it. So I studied by myself, and then if I had any doubts, I used to go to the people who were attending classes, and I used to get that clarified. But I didn't want to do an MBA because, like I said, I want to improve myself financially, my family financially, and I saw the MBA as a means to do that. And then, I worked for a year with the company that I told you about. I was writing code for travel agencies. And then I said, okay, if I really have to do this, I have to get out of the job. I have to sit at home for 3 to 6 months and study hard and try to crack either the CAT or the CET. Now that happened as well. So I left my job. I was working for a year. I left my job. I sat down at home. I studied. I could not crack the CAT. Like I said, I was not like a very, very like number one student, but I was able to crack the CET, and I got into a decent college.
Okay.
Right.
Lovely.
Now the crux of the moment was again the financial situation came into the picture. My father was not able to pay the fees for getting into the MBA college, and then he said, to जॉब कर ले और अगले साल फिर से दे दियो, and next year I'll try to manage somehow. So what happened is 2001 I said, okay, I don't have money, so I'll have to reappear for this, and maybe I told my dad, if you can accumulate the money, then I'll go and join the college next year. And then I just went, because I was not doing anything, I was at home. I said, okay, let me go and give an interview. So there was a company called Transworks, which was one of the early ITES companies in India. So I went to Transworks. This was my first job, like the first interview that I was giving for an ITES.
Mhm.
And I got through, it was like a breeze. I got through the aptitude test, JD interview, everything. And actually my preparation for the MBA was helpful over here, because I cracked all of the rounds. And then I was getting paid 7,500 rupees per month. My first job, I was getting paid 2,500, which I told you I was doing the coding. And here it's like a 3 times jump. And I said, acha, ye to acha hai yaar. Matlab, I was young, 21 years old, and I was getting good money. So study took a back seat at that point of time. So I just kept working. I was there in Transworks for a couple of years. Then I moved out of Transworks. I joined Exalt, which was the first HR BPO in the world, is what I'm being told. One of the first. And then I just continued there. I had good success in Exalt. Within a couple of years or 3 years, I think I got promoted to a operations manager level. Within 2 more years, I got promoted to service manager.
Wow.
So I was there in Exalt, which eventually got taken over by Hewitt, then by Aon, for 7 years. And within the 7 years, I had 2 promotions. From an agent making calls, I was managing a team of about 60 people. I was I went for a couple of transitions, to Chicago.
Easy.
Beautiful, beautiful city.
Lovely.
Yeah. But then, the bug of MBA or further studies was still there. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I still had, ye kam reh gaya. So I had this very good boss early in my career in Hewitt itself, in Exalt. And I told him, sir, I want to do an MBA. So, if you can guide me, that will be great. So he wrote down on a piece of paper, he said, this is the name of the college, this is the address. For somebody like you, just go there. They have aptitude test, GD interview, clear that, and then complete it. It's 2 years part-time. I was like, okay. So I went there. This was in Pune. So I traveled to Pune one fine morning, and I gave the test and all of that. And within like a week, I came to know that I was selected. And then I just continued. Now, between, so it was supposed to be completed in 2 years, but I traveled once, and I got married, and those kind of things happened. So instead of 2 years, I finished the MBA in 3 years.
Okay.
But it was good. I mean, it was nice to have that tag of an MBA. So.
Fantastic. So Prem, you're working, your work, is now involving different parts of the world.
Right.
You're traveling internationally, you're studying, and you're getting married. All of it is converging. Your desire to do an MBA, all of that is converging together. So how did you manage all of this? How did you manage all of this? I mean, was it easy?
No, it was not easy actually. Because the other thing was in that job in Hewitt, we were working night shifts. So and I think I was at that or at some point of time I was also working kind of a graveyard shift where my job used to get over at 3:30 in the morning. And then I remember what I would do is I would go home and then I would study for maybe 2-3 hours and then have like a heavy breakfast and go to sleep. So my dinner was my breakfast. So that's the arrangement that I did.
So you would go home at night after working, and in the wee hours where people are deep in sleep, you're actually studying.
Right. Yeah.
That's a time that was convenient to you for studies. That's the time you got it. Wow.
Right. Yes.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing at that point of time. And later on,
Please, sorry.
Later on, I did my MCOM as well, and I followed the same strategy. And now the difference in the MCOM thing was I also had a kid. So my older daughter was born; she was a baby at that point of time. So, so yeah, no, it was not easy. But yeah, I mean, I think once I put that effort in, there was no turning back for me. So I think that's what.
This is just amazing, Prem, to hear. You're working, that desire in you, you never let it go. You never said, "Waqt chala gaya," time is over. You still wanted to do that. You did it. In spite of now you have a child on the way of, you've become a family now, and you still. So tell me, you again went for MCOM after your MBA, Prem, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
And Prem, what drove you to this? Now, nobody was forcing you to do an MBA or MCOM. It was no more the parental, like the school, it was driven by you, Prem, right?
Right.
So what was a desire, one? And the second thing is, did these qualifications help you in any way? This is a piece of paper. You've done it twice, you've done it twice. So was it a piece of paper that?
So the MBA, of course, I wanted to do it and I did it. MCOM, there was no necessity really. So MCOM, what happened is, so I told you I was living in a distant suburb, and one day I was like just going to the station or something, and I saw one of my friends over there who did not live there. And I was like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he said, "There's an MCOM college over here, and I have come to enroll." And I was like, "Okay, why, like what's the whole thing?" And he said, "It's better to have a qualification, because I'm just a BCom, and I'm sure at some point of time there will be a requirement for me, even from a promotion perspective or a job perspective where a post graduation is required." And actually, it is interesting. He said that, Joby, because now I see that thing happening. Now I think I and my batchmates were very lucky that we got jobs based on our graduations. But nowadays, I think if you don't have a post graduation, it is very difficult, one, to get a job. And I mean, even after you get a job, if you want to have a promotion, want to become like a manager, people manager or something, I think one of the first requirements, and I'm in HR, I can tell you that first requirements is that you have like a MBA or a post graduation or something. So this guy, my friend, he was actually applying for that, and he was like, "Chal mere saath line mein khade ho ja." So I was like, "Okay." And then I said, okay, chalo, now that I'm standing in the line, and it was, it was cheap. It was like 2,500 rupees for a year, the course. I said, let me also enroll, and I enrolled. But I think by God's grace or whatever, I just kept passing, and I was like, "Acha, chalo, let's get this done with." So that's what happened.
Lovely, Prem. So, you take up, your MBA because you have a desire, as you said. Now MCOM is just a pure accident. And you say, why not? It was as simple, as transactional as that, but it added to your qualification. And I'm sure, all this has actually helped you. We don't, unfortunately, time enough to get into that aspect as to how it helped you, etc. But, just how incidents of life can take you through a journey that is so unique, or that is also so common amongst so many of our lives, that these things happen to almost everybody. It all depends on how one responds to it. And you responded it based on your situation so well, studying at 3 o'clock in the night or 3 o'clock in the morning, whichever way you want to put it. So Prem, you did your your MBA as well as your MCOM later on. So Prem, let me ask you just a general question: is an MBA required at all, or is the future of education? You think it will demand that? What, in your view, based on your experience, what do you think is important going forward? At this point in time, things keep changing.
Sure. So Joby, thanks for asking that question. I think it is a very, very important question, and something that everybody should think about for themselves as well as for their kids. Like I was telling you previously, I have a couple of daughters. One of them is 14 years old, second is 11 years old. And my question to myself is, what's going to happen when they start, into the graduations or post-graduation, right? And there was a very interesting article that I read some time back from an author called Yuval Noah Harari. And you should Google it. I think it's very, very interesting about education. There's probably a TED talk around that as well. What he says is that the education, and of course, any field for that matter, including education, is going to have a drastic change going forward in the next 20 years, 30 years. We have already seen disruptions happening in businesses, in technology. That same disruption is going to happen in education. And why it is going to happen is because of the technology and business changes. So today, I think a couple of years back, we heard terms called design thinking, right? Now we are hearing data science. I'm also hearing AI, ML, those kind of things. So what are those things? 5 years back, I was not aware of them. But today, if I want to move forward, or even if I have a reportee who has, these skills, I need to know as a manager what he's talking about. So I think for all of us, including our kids, it's going to be becoming more and more important to upgrade themselves every 2 years, every 5 years. So for us, I think what's going to be important to teach our kids is not just to study what they are studying, but also teach them to adapt to the changes and how to adapt to those changes. So I think from as a parent, what I want to teach my kids is that your learning is not stopping with your graduation or with your post-graduation. You need to have a focus of keeping on learning. So I think that is just what I feel about that.
Wow, thank you for that. So Prem, I won't take any more of your time right now, but it was because I know you're hard pressed for time, and so hence won't take this any further. But Prem, it was absolutely delightful, to hear lovely journey in the world of academics, in the world of working, and how in spite of all kinds of circumstances, we can find a way if we need to find a way. So thank you for sharing that, lovely part and a small bit of your journey with us, Prem. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much, Joby. Thanks for having me again.